Hello, this is JW and this video is about this. This is just a standard pendant set that you would put on the ceiling of your room. That goes on the ceiling, this hangs down, and then your lamp goes in the end, or light bulb if you like one of them, or probably one of the more energy efficient modern equivalents. Now, I had to replace one of these in a house recently, and the customer had actually already purchased another one, so just wanted it fitting up there. The kind of job which, although obviously you get paid for it, it doesn't really earn any money because it takes like 5 minutes and takes longer to actually go and return from the place than it does to actually do the thing itself. And the one the customer had purchased was one of these, which is made by Crabtree, and it's one of these that has this supposedly safety holder on the end, so if you put your finger in there you won't actually get an electric shock because the contacts are only connected to the power when the proper lamp is inserted. And unfortunately it seems it's a rather unusual design in terms of the contacts for the lamp, so we'll have a look at that and compare it to this other one, which is a quarter of the price and in my opinion is actually vastly superior. Now, for those people that don't live in England and haven't seen these before, this is a bayonet cap lamp, or light bulb if you like. This is the common type that's used in the UK. It's not used particularly in other countries. They do only have the Edison screw fitting with the thread to one contact and the single contact on the bottom. This just has the two contacts on the bottom. The metal cap there is not connected to anything electrically, and has two pins on the side which fit into the appropriate slot in the holder. This is the holder that fits into. So it's got two brass contacts in the bottom, and they're actually pins with a spring inside, so as you can see they will press in and out, and so press onto the back of the lamp and provide a good contact. And two slots at the side there for the pins on the side of the lamp, and obviously there's a bayonet style fitting, so the pins go in and then just hook under there, and then there's a corresponding mirror image one over there. This has been the same design since forever. No particular changes have happened in the whole time, and no real need to either. Very simple to put in, just push it in, a small twist and there it is, and press in and it comes out again. However, Crabtree have deemed it necessary to change this design, and although this one looks the same, it isn't. This is the Crabtree one, and inside you see it doesn't actually have any pins at all. It's just got these tabs of metal which are sort of bent over with a moderate amount of spring in them, so that's all that's going to press onto the back of the contacts of the lamp. Now, these probably would do the job, and indeed if you put a lamp in this it does work, but it's fairly obvious that those are vastly inferior to proper round pins with individual springs in them, as just bending over a piece of metal and hoping it's going to retain its springiness really isn't good enough. Bearing in mind these are hanging up on the ceiling and typically get to fairly high temperature, as all the heat from the lamp is obviously rising. Heating up metal is not a good way to ensure its springiness, and even without that, it's just a poor, cheap way of doing things. Now, the top of these look basically identical, at least on the outside, but inside there is a substantial difference. This one over here is the cheaper one, and as you see the base is made out of a transparent plastic material. And this is actually really handy because when this is on the ceiling, you're also looking at it from this side, and all you can really see is this centre hole where the cables are coming through and the two screw holes, but being transparent you can then see through it, so when you put the screws in you can get them in the correct position, either in the holes you've put there or where the previous one was installed, and make sure that the cables are actually coming through correctly. You're not actually going to be screwing through the cable. And it's a simple thing making it transparent, which does make a big difference when you're installing it. This one also comes with a hole in it pre-made, and you can also extend the hole a bit more if you just remove that section there with some cutters. And this plastic is slightly pliable. It's not bendy, but it's of the sort that if you really had some cutters you could cut that out and it wouldn't actually fracture and break all over the place. Now, the Crabtree one looks the same there, but on the back, see, it's made out of this black plastic. It doesn't have any holes cut out already, and this is actually one of those brittle breaks to thousands of pieces style of plastics, so you've got to bust out at least one of these holes, and quite often it's easy to break out too many and end up with a huge big hole. And because this is a brittle plastic, it's quite easy to actually break these, so it cracks out the side, in which case you've got to buy a new one because you've just broken it. The major problem with it being black or opaque, when screwing on the ceiling from this side, you can't see through it, and if those are filled up with the screws, you can't see where the screws are going. You're really just guessing where they're actually going through and hoping they're not going to stab through the cables or into anything else that's up there. And if you've got a piece of timber in the ceiling, which you normally would have to screw into, again, it's really pot luck as to whether those screws are going to go into it or miss it or whatever. So, and not something I particularly like. The top of this is moulded and clipped over the black lower section, and there's no real way you can open that. It's obviously the wires go in and it's fixed together permanently. Of course, the bottom unscrews to the shade, but there's no way of getting in here, and although this plastic grip unscrews, again, there's no way of getting in there, so we just have to hope that the wires are properly connected in there, and should they become loose or undone in some fashion, then pretty much has to have to throw it away and buy another one. And just compare that to the more usual style here, where of course the bottom unscrews just as the same for the lamp holder, and then the top part also unscrews. It's got the grip in there for the cord, and again you just got the two screw terminals there, which you could obviously confirm they were tightened or even replace the whole flex if you wanted to. And not only does it have the grip there, it also has the grip here at the top. Again, prevents the flex from pulling through. The Crabtree one doesn't have any of that. Let's look in the side there. It's just the cord going through, and it's simply relying on those hooks to prevent the cord from being pulled out. So there you have the Crabtree safety pendant. Safety part of it fine. Rubbish bent tabs of metal for terminals is not. Choice that it's just saved a few pence on the manufacturing cost for no reason other than they were just penny pinching, and thought it would be a good money saving exercise. Until next time, thanks for watching, and do subscribe if you want to get automatic updates when new videos are posted.